Welcome back, everybody. In this lesson, let's create some facial and makeup effects. So let's go to File and let's go to New Project to create a new project. And first we'll save our project. And while our new project has been created, I'll go ahead and set this to the default, idle person 1. And I'll just quickly go to File and save the project. We'll navigate to the folder where we have our effect files projects. And I'll create a new folder. And I'll call this 02. And let's just call that makeup effect. This is where I'm going to be storing all the content for the folder. So make sure to click 02 makeup effects. And I'll click open and save. And we'll just call this 02 makeup effects. All right, so it's going to save it in that file location. Let's go ahead and close our quick access toolbar. What we'll do is to go over here at the top and click to add object. This also contains a shortcut to the quick access toolbar. And first, let's start adding and stacking our effects. We can search this based on different categories, and we can see every subcategory selected. In fact, let's go over here and I'll click on the quick access toolbar. And you notice is the same effects that have been stacked over here that we have. So let's go back to add object, and everything in effect house is actually an object. So let's go over to face effect and let's click on the eye effect. And this will create an effect for makeup for the eyes. So let's start with the eye effect. We'll click on it. And here we can clearly see on our idle person 1 and on our 2D view what this is. If you cannot see the 2D view, make sure you click on this at the top left to show the 2D view. So what can we do with this eye effect? Now it's added an eye effect object, and we can see that eye effect here in the filter. It's added a face mask effect, and it's specifying the region we're working with. We're working on the eyes. And it's asking us which face, and this will be for a specific number of faces. This will be for 5 faces, or we can even specify any. Now let's begin to make some changes to these effects. I'll just drag this here so we can have this here. And remember, we can always change the person. So let's try idle person 3. And like I said, you can even use your own self if we click on the camera. So what I can do is we can drag down the opacity, and we can see we're reducing the opacity of that effect. And this is visible on both the 2D object and the live 3D person model. So we'll just drag this to the right a bit, and I'll put that about 0.7. We can enable opacity. And this will set an opacity value, so I'll just get rid of that. Now, identify occlusion is a very handy and neat effect. Basically, if you're covering your eyes with the hand, it's going to observe that there's an object occluding the eyes, and this effect will be rendered underneath the eyes. That's super duper great. If we enable opacity, we can play around with things like the color and just change them like that and make this a bit bluish like that. Or let's just make it a shade of green or cyan. And again, we can bump the opacity very high so we can see how dark that is or how light that is. I'll just drag this down a little bit. Right, great. So we've added our face mask. Let's go ahead and add another effect on this so we can stack these effects. And remember, you can always change them. We can always go back and say, you know, we want to make this a little bit of pink like that. And you can see the effect here. So let's add another effect under the face category. And this time around, we'll add an eyelash effect. So let's click on the eyelash effect. And note what this is going to do is to add another sub effect and mask that and set that to the eyelash, just as we can actually see here. So now the region it's targeting is the eyelash. And let's go ahead and make sure we deselect this. So now we can see we're on eye effect, which is the first one where we made the color pink and play with the opacity. This time around, let's go over to the eyelash. For the eyelash, let's drag the opacity. Let's turn on identify occlusion for the eyelash. And let's enable opacity. And for the eyelash color over here, let's click on this and we can make the eyelash any color we want. Let's put a shade of red like this, for example. And I'll dial down the alpha just a little bit. So let's go ahead and stack another effect on this one. I'll go to add object, face effect, and this time let's look at a lip effect, like so. So now on the lip effect, if we click on the lip, we can actually see we have an opacity value. We can change the slider down, or we can push that up and make it extremely red. We can even change the blend mode, which is going to use different methods to combine the color. For example, we can try screen, and this makes it super bright. Or we could try overlay, and this overlays it on the character. And we can dial down the opacity just to customize this a little bit. If we enable our opacity, it'll give us access to our color section. And we can change this and make it slightly purplish like that. So I'll leave it on this color. Great. We might want the colors to match, but I'll leave that up to you to play around and see how you can match those colors together. All right. So now we've had an effect for the eyes, eyelash, and the lips. Let's add one more just to play around with this. Now what we want to do is to add what is called segmentation. And with segmentation, what that simply means is you're segmenting a specific portion of the body to add an effect. So under the segmentation category, let's go to the head and face segmentation, and let's go to hair segmentation. So basically, this is going to isolate our subject's hair and allow us to make changes to the subject's hair only. So here we can see we've added a hair segmentation. And if we go over here to the inspector and make sure the hair segmentation is connected, is clicked, we can see things we can actually do here. So here we can add a texture to the hair, or we can do things like reduce the softness. I'll just drag this down a bit, reduce the radius of the effect. And we can do things like change the color of the hair as well. So I'll make the hair slightly purple to match the color of the makeup, the face, like that. All right. So this is just a quick overview of what we can basically do with our subject. We can add a lot of effects, but remember, we're building these effects on a mobile phone. A mobile phone doesn't have as much processing power as a laptop or a desktop system, and not every mobile phone is extremely powerful. So you might want to limit your effect to just a few, and you can always test the performance of your effects to see if it's actually memory compliant. Let's click on the test performance button. So to ensure our effect works properly on all devices, we'll test the performance prior to submission. So we'll click on Run Tests. And this will take a little short while to get results. All right. So it says that our effect has actually passed the frame rate test, which is super great. In our next lesson, I'll show you how you can publish this effect to TikTok and preview this TikTok as well. See you guys in the next lesson.